After 70 years of a love that seemed unbreakable, Elias Thompson uncovered a secret about his wife Amelia that shattered his world, a truth she whispered with her dying breath, threatening to unravel every moment they shared. Welcome to an emotional journey of devotion, betrayal. In the golden autumn of 1955, in the sleepy town of Willow Creek, 20-year-old Elias Thompson, a farmer with dirt-stained hands and a heart full of hope, stood at the harvest festival, his eyes catching a girl who seemed to glow under the October sun. Amelia Hartley, 18, with auburn hair and a smile that hid a quiet sorrow, was new to town, living with her aunt after losing her parents in a tragic accident. Elias, shy but drawn to her like a moth to a flame, offered her a caramel apple, his voice trembling as he asked her name. Their laughter mingled with the scent of cider and hay, sparking a connection that felt like destiny. Amelia's guarded eyes softened as they talked about stars and dreams, but when Elias asked about her past, she'd deflect with a playful grin, leaving him curious but smitten. Their romance bloomed fast and fierce. Elias stole moments from farm chores to meet Amelia by the river's old oak tree, where they'd share peanut butter sandwiches and dreams of a future together. He'd carve their initials into the bark, promising to build her a home, while she'd blush, her fingers brushing his as she whispered, "You're too good for me, Elias." He dismissed her words, lost in her warmth, never noticing the fleeting shadows in her gaze when he spoke of forever. By 1956, under a sky bursting with stars, Elias knelt with a ring he'd made from his mother's locket, his voice steady, "Amelia, marry me. I'll love you till the world stops turning." Her tears fell like rain as she nodded, her yes sealing a vow that would define their lives, or so he thought. Their wedding was humble but heartfelt, in a church draped with wildflowers, with neighbors toasting their union over homemade cake. Elias, in his best suit, looked at Amelia in her simple lace dress and felt like the richest man alive. As they danced to a fiddler tune, he whispered, "We're unstoppable, you and me." Amelia's smile wavered, her grip tightening, but Elias saw only love, not the weight she carried. They moved into his family's farmhouse, a creaky haven where Amelia planted roses and Elias expanded the fields. Their early years were a dance of hard work and tender moments, weathering a 1958 drought that nearly broke them, with Elias hauling lumber in town and Amelia stitching dresses late into the night. He'd come home to find her asleep at the sewing machine, and he'd carry her to bed, his heart swelling with pride for their shared fight. That in 1960, their son Michael arrived, a squalling bundle with Amelia's kind eyes. Elias held him, tears streaming, vowing to be the father he never had, his own having died young. 3 years later, Sophia was born, her giggles lighting up the house. Elias was the dad who wrestled with Michael in the grass and built Sophia a swing, while Amelia spun bedtime stories of brave knights and far-off lands. But sometimes, Elias caught Amelia staring out the kitchen window, her hands trembling as she clutched a mug, lost in thoughts she never shared. "Just tired," she'd say, brushing it off, and he'd pull her close, planting a kiss on her forehead, determined to chase her shadows away with love. The 1960s tested their resilience. The Vietnam War loomed, and when Michael's draft number came up, Amelia's face paled, her fear raw. Elias held her through sleepless nights, promising, "We'll keep him safe." Michael's medical school deferment brought relief, and they celebrated with a rare dinner out, Amelia's laughter easing Elias's worries. As the kids grew, Elias and Amelia poured their hearts into them, Michael's science fairs, Sophia's art shows, scraping by to buy paints or books. Elias's love shone in small ways, fixing Amelia's broken rocking chair, dancing with her to radio static, leaving wildflowers on her pillow. She'd slip notes into his lunch pail, saying, "You're my hero, Elias," but in rare fights, her voice would crack, her eyes darting away as if guarding a locked door. He'd back off, choosing peace, trusting her heart. The 1970s brought emptiness quiet as Michael left for medical school and Sophia for art college. Elias and Amelia found new rhythms, taking frugal trips to lakes and mountains, laughing like teenagers. He noticed her melancholy grow, especially when old letters arrived, which she'd tuck away or burn, saying, "Just junk." Elias trusted her, never prying, his love a steady anchor. Grandchildren came in the 1990s, Michael's 2 boys, Sophia's girl, turning the farmhouse into a holiday haven of Amelia's apple pies and Elias's piggyback rides. As arthritis slowed Amelia, Elias took over gardening, kneading her hands gently, his care a silent vow. Yet, those burned letters lingered in his mind, a puzzle he left unsolved. Blinded by devotion, the 2000s brought golden milestones. Their 50th anniversary in 2006 was a town event, with toasts and tears as Elias declared, "Amelia, you're my light in every storm." Her eyes shimmered, but a flicker of guilt passed, unnoticed by Elias, who saw only his bride. Cancer struck Amelia in 2012, a cruel blow. Elias became her warrior, driving her to chemo, cooking her favorite soups, shaving his head when her hair fell. "You're still beautiful," he'd say, kissing her scars. Her recovery felt like a miracle, and they celebrated with a Grand Canyon trip, Amelia's laughter echoing off the cliffs. But at night, she'd clutch an old locket, whispering words Elias couldn't hear, assuming it was nostalgia, not a buried truth. By 2025, at 90 and 88, Elias and Amelia were frail but fierce in love. He brewed her tea each morning, massaged her feet, and recounted their youth to keep her smiling. Their 70th anniversary loomed, but a stroke stole Amelia's strength, confining her to bed. Elias never left her side, singing old love songs, holding her hand as family gathered. Her lucid moments were precious, she'd smile, saying, "You're my everything, Elias." "Forgive me," he brushed it off as fever talk, his heart aching as her time slipped away. The family shared stories, but Elias was her constant, his love a lighthouse in her fading light. On her final night, as the sun painted the sky crimson, Amelia's eyes cleared. Alone with Elias, she whispered a confession that stopped his heart. Before they met, as a scared 18-year-old, she'd had an affair with a married man, birthing a child she gave up for adoption. The real blow: Michael wasn't Elias's son, the child's father was that man, long dead. She'd married Elias pregnant, letting him believe Michael was his to give the baby a home, her love for Elias growing true but shadowed by guilt. "I'm so sorry," she gasped, tears falling. Elias's world crumbled, 70 years of memories, from their first kiss to Michael's birth, now tainted. Shock, betrayal, and grief warred within him as he held her, her breaths fading. In that moment, his love faced its greatest test, the weight of her secret threatening to bury their story under a lifetime of lies. Elias Thompson sat by Amelia's bedside, her confession echoing like thunder in his heart. Michael, the son he'd raised for 65 years, wasn't his. The woman he'd loved for 7 decades had built their life on a lie, her whispered apology fading with her final breath as the sun sank below Willow Creek's horizon. Shock pinned Elias to the chair, his weathered hands trembling as he held hers, now still. 70 years of laughter, tears, and promises flashed before him, their first dance, Michael's first steps, the nights he'd soothed Amelia's fears. Was it all a facade? Grief and betrayal clawed at him, but her last words, "I loved you truly," burned brighter, forcing him to grapple with a love that felt both sacred and shattered. As dawn broke, Amelia was gone. Elias moved through the motions, planning her funeral with a hollow chest. The church overflowed with family and friends, their tributes painting Amelia as the heart of their community, her pies, her kindness, their epic love. Elias stood, voice steady, saying, "She was my partner, my home. Our love was my truth." The words felt heavy, his secret knowledge a silent wound. Grandchildren spoke of their grandparents' bond as legendary, unaware of the crack running through it. Elias buried his pain, smiling for them, but alone at night, he wandered the farmhouse, touching her quilt, her gardening gloves, her faded photos, each item a question mark on their shared history. Days blurred into weeks as Elias withdrew, the farmhouse a museum of their life. He found her hidden letters in a locked drawer, faded pages confirming the affair, the adoption, the boy she'd left behind to escape shame. One letter, from the adoptive parents, described a happy child, now a man, unaware of Amelia's existence. Elias learned the biological father, a fleeting mistake from her desperate youth, had died before she met him. Her fear, her choice to build a life with Elias, began to make sense, softening the edges of his anger. Still, the betrayal stung, every "I love you," every shared glance, now carried a shadow. He sat by the river's oak tree, their initials carved deep, and wept, torn between love and hurt, needing to unburden his soul. Elias called Michael and Sophia home. Over coffee, his voice broke as he shared the truth. Michael's biological father was another man, a secret Amelia carried to protect their family. Michael's face paled, but he reached for Elias's hand, saying, "You're my dad, always. Blood doesn't change that." Sophia, tears streaming, added, "Mom loved you enough to carry this alone. She chose you." Their words were a lifeline, pulling Elias from despair. He saw his love reflected in their eyes, the fishing trips, the bedtime stories, the pride at their graduations. He'd built a family, not just a lie, and that truth began to mend his fractured heart. Months passed, and Elias sought healing. He returned to the oak tree, scattering Amelia's ashes, his voice soft, "I forgive you, my love. Your secret doesn't erase our life." The act freed him, letting him cherish their joy without denying the pain. He started a journal, pouring out their story, the love, the betrayal, the choice to move forward. He shared it with his grandchildren, teaching them that love means forgiving imperfections. Their visits became his light. He'd laugh as they ran through the garden, feeling Amelia's spirit in the roses she'd planted. Elias leaned on Willow Creek's community, too. At the harvest festival, where he'd met Amelia, he met Clara, a widow whose husband had hidden debts, nearly breaking her. "No love is perfect," she said, her empathy a balm. Elias nodded, sharing how Amelia's secret tested him, yet his care for her endured. Their talk sparked a quiet friendship, reminding him that pain shared is pain halved. He began hosting family dinners again, his laughter real as he grilled burgers, Sophia's daughter sketching him as "Grandpa, the hero." A spark of purpose ignited. Elias wanted to know the child Amelia had given up. With Michael's help, they used online records to find Robert, now 71, a retired teacher in a neighboring state. Elias wrote him, not with anger, but as the man who'd loved Amelia, explaining her choice and their life. Robert's reply was warm, revealing he'd known he was adopted and always wondered about his birth mother. They met at a quiet cafe, Elias's hands shaking as he shared photos of Amelia, her smile, her garden, their family. Robert's eyes glistened. He'd had a good life but regretted not knowing her. "You gave her a home," he told Elias. "You were her redemption." The word settled deep, healing a wound Elias hadn't named. That meeting closed a circle. Elias returned to the farmhouse with new peace, tending Amelia's roses with care, each bloom a testament to their flawed but fierce love. He framed a photo from their 50th anniversary, her smile radiant, and hung it by his bed, no longer questioning its truth. Family gatherings grew louder, filled with stories of Amelia's warmth and Elias's devotion. His grandchildren vowed to carry his lesson: love isn't about perfection but choosing kindness, even when it hurts. As years rolled on, Elias lived to 95, his days full of small joys, coffee with Clara, teaching his great-grandson to fish, watching sunsets from the porch where he and Amelia once dreamed. When he passed, surrounded by family, his journal lay open, its final words, "Amelia, our love was real, shadows and all." The grandchildren read it at his funeral, tears mixing with smiles, promising to honor his forgiveness in their own lives. Elias and Amelia's story isn't just about a secret unveiled, it's about a man's relentless care, choosing love over pain. It's a reminder that even when trust breaks, love can rebuild, stronger for its scars. Their 70 years, woven with joy, sorrow, and redemption, prove that the heart's greatest act is to forgive, to hold on, to choose love again and again.